And if I do this right, we're going to have some fun in this process. If I convey what I think I can convey to you, you should be super duper excited. If you're half as excited as I am about it, then it's more than enough, okay? Half. If you're a quarter of excited, if you believe 1/4 of what I show you today, it's more than enough, all right?
I have a hard time believing anything you tell me. Go ahead.
So the first thing is I did my topic. You know, we've had a tough fall.
Winter, yes.
A winter. And as you can say, any lake in the nation that has flooding during the fall, flooding in fall just don't go good with bass fishing because we're cool trending. So cold flooded water is terrible.
Worst. It's the worst.
So with that being said, I'm not going to go to the negative side of what can be cast about any fishery when it has its downtime. But what I want to do is I want to, for the first time, maybe get some real people to understand the cyclic nature of bass and the generations and where we are at specifically right now on Lake Fork, okay? So tonight, basically the topic is, I'm asking you this question. Don't answer it right now, but I'm asking you this question. Is Lake Fork bass fishing healthy or not? We've had a real gruesome fall. It'd be real easy to say it's not. We're going to get into it very in-depth. I'm going to try and go as fast as I can. It's not a long lesson. The first thing before you can understand this is I want you to understand the bass's growth and age rate, okay? We're going to roll through this pretty quick if you have any questions at the end. So the first thing is, and this is not 100% science. Somebody could go Google something and find out that, you know, Mike's a little off by half a year or whatever. I didn't go, this isn't word for verbatim of a biologist, but this is from my lifetime experience, and this is what I've witnessed wholeheartedly, and it's pretty close.
It's like everything else in fishing. This is your theory.
This is my theory, but if you some of the statistics that I'm going to give you, if you go look at them, they're within variance, okay? So the first statistics I'm going to talk about is a first year. So you have a bass is born, it's 1 year old. In that first year, it's much my experience that I have not seen a bass grow much more than 6 inches. So what I'm trying to convey to you is after the first year, the bass reaches the fingerling stage, okay? Once they're about 2 to 3 years, by the time a bass is 3 years old, it's around the 2-pound range. Again, you can Google this, and a biologist will be right in to say about the same thing, okay?
There'll be some variance from male to female.
From male to female, and from climate to climate. So go to Michigan.
Well, there's some of these super freak, like private lakes, where they
absolutely
feed them crazy stuff, and they get real big.
Climate has a lot to do with whether a bass can grow. If you go down south to Mexico, there's no winter; they grow all year long. You go to Michigan, they get iced over; they don't get to grow as well. So there has a lot to do. The climate, the water, fertility, the amount of food. But basically, what I want to do is first thing is, so we talked the fingerling up to 6 inches the first year. 2 to 3 year old bass can be in the approximate 2-pound range, okay? In a healthy lake like Lake Fork, once that bass is in that 2-pound range, let's say he's 3 years old, and he's in that 2-pound range, he's got a nice mouth, he now can eat a lot of what he wants. In a healthy lake like this, biologists do back this up, they can gain as much as a pound, pound and a half to 2 pounds per year, okay? So in this first part, now we got to the 5-year mark. So if it took 3 years for bass to reach 2 pounds, and the next 2 years, it gains a pound and a half each year, right? That's 3 more pounds. That means by the time it's 5 years old, it's at the 5-pound mark, all right? I'm using this 5 number to keep it really simple, and I don't want to be silly about it, but it's just like we make 5-year plan, all right? Remember 5. Remember 5. This is very important to my lesson tonight.
I thought 3 plus 3 was 6.
Well, no, we said it's a 3-year-old bass. It's a 3-year-old bass. It's a 3-year-old bass that weighs 2 pounds.
Man, I fish for a living. I ain't good at
and
that.
2 more years of a pound and a half is 3. So we now 5 year, 5 pound. Okay. So, no, it's good. Now listen, at that 5-pound mark, now they can really get to that. Pretty sure on Lake Fork they're gaining a pound and a half a year. Okay. Healthy environment. Winter's good. So,
thanks. Sorry.
Before I go to this next part, the bass average life is about 14 years, okay? 14 years. Some science says they can go to 17, but the average bass will die within 14 years. So if at 5 years it's 5 pounds, it's only got 9 more years to live, and it gains a pound and a half a year. What's 9 times pound and a half? Come on, somebody.
13 and a half.
13 and a half plus the 5 that it already was is what? 18 and a half. What's the big fish out of this lake? 18 and a half. Boy, the math starts to add up, doesn't it? So all of a sudden you start seeing our biggest fish are in the 18 to 20 pound range by age, 14 years. That's about what they're going to get, all right? That should back up my first page. Now let's go to number 2.
So, just, I mean, how do we explain Manuba Caritas fish in Lake Biwa? Just a fluke, freak deal?
Mother Nature does some weird things. So
Right.
Mother Nature will even spawn in off times.
Like we always say, there's no absolute.
There's never an absolute, but there is a general, and what they do is they have a control or an average. Okay, so, you know, say 70% of the fish do this, 80% of the fish do this. Just like some fish will live in the shallow water no matter what. Call them residentials, others are schoolers that move
They're
around.
called Billy's fish.
They're called the Billy's fish, that's right. But stay with this. Is this going to get everybody, should get everybody excited, man. It's just the real juice here. Now, remember the 5-year deal. We're going to go back now to 2010 through 2014. We had major drought here, correct? In 2010, I visited, and it was the last time the lake was full, which tells me in 2008, 2009, let's use 2009, was the last successful natural spawn. Okay, natural selective spawn is much better than when the game and fish puts the fish in. When the fish game put the fish in there, they say themselves that less than 4% survive.
Well, that, and they can't put anywhere, like a
Right.
fractional amount.
Can't put in a fraction amount. So now stay with me here, because what I'm going to talk about is I arrived December 2013. We were in major drought. I have witnessed this. I've been studying this, and I'm super stoked about this because I'm very lucky. I made the right call to come here. The timing is perfect. So if in 2010 we had the first drought, okay, I'm sorry, the last big spawn was 2009. That's a successful spawn. What's 9 times 5? 14. In 2014, the elites came here, and the elites showcased an average of 25 pounds per sack, 5-pounders all over the place. Remember that? And they had Keith Combs with the heaviest bags in history, an average of 7-pounders, Stetson Blaylock right behind him with 107 pounds. Those fish were born in 2019, okay? And in 2009. In 2014, they wrecked them. That's the 5 to 7 pound range. That concurs my growth rate, okay? Where are those fish now? Well, that was 4 years ago, right? 5 years ago. So if those fish were 5 to 7 pound range now, and we add another, what, 4 years times a pound and a half, we what? We start seeing, what did we see last year? Some more share lunkers come into the play, didn't we? What do you think you're going to see this year? More share lunkers come around. What do you see the year after that? More share lunkers.
Well, and here's, you're probably going to stop me if you're not. But the most exciting part to me, because that's awesome, you know, catching a fish of a lifetime, that's what Lake Fork's all about.
It's what's coming.
But what's awesome from day to day is what's happened in 2014.
Yeah, hang on, don't blow it, don't blow it. Emily, are you getting excited? Is everybody with me? You already know what I'm going to, you already know where I'm going, healthy or not, okay? So stay with me now. So where are those fish? They're grown up now. No wonder we're not catching lots of 5 and 7 pounders. Because we had drought in 2014, 15, and 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14's drought. We had some weak years. We don't have, I'm not going to dare tell you the lake's depleted. There's plenty of fish.
Now there is.
Now,
for a little while.
Now, are there lots of 5 to 8 pounders? Yeah, we were catching them. We had some great years. We worked our butt off for it. Did everybody catch that? No. Was that readily available everywhere? That I'll say, but I will not call it depletion. I don't want to go to anything negative because there's nothing negative to talk about. But we're going to talk about is the most exciting part. If you're with me so far and you believe everything I say, and I don't see any reason not to, it's very concurrent. I have Eddie Garrett, this man right here, Ronnie Kelly, myself, men that I've fished with all my life, Don Ivino, this is things that I've learned. This is bass fishing history. So if in 2015 we finally flooded, and we now have a new lake syndrome, is what you call it, and 16...
Can I take a time out real quick?
Yeah.
Just kind of explain what we're talking about here. So when we say that we had a big flood, not only did we have a big flood, we had a big flood at the right time, right before the fish spawned, right when they were spawning. And what that does, guys, when the lake's low and the fish spawn, for those that don't know, the young men here may not quite fully understand, when the lake's low and the fish spawn, there's no shallow cover. There's no shoreline vegetation. There wasn't any grass in the lake when we were in drought. So these fish would spawn, and their fry were completely exposed with nowhere to hide.
Gobbled up.
And sand bass and crappie and other bass just destroyed the fry, the baby bass. They killed the majority of them. Well, when you get a flood, now all of a sudden you've got bushes in the water, and you've got new grass growth, and you've got all kinds of unlimited cover for these. How many people have gone down the bank? Maybe you get hung up, you get real close to the bank in April or May, and you go up there and you see that little brown ball, a little tiny just minuscule little fish life. Well, those are baby bass right after they were born. And they're up there in that shallow cover hiding from brim and sand bass and crappie. So that's when we have all that abundance of cover due to the floods, our fry recruitment, our baby bass survival rate is just
phenomenal.
Way higher.
Any lake, Lake Pleasant, perfect example, they enlarged it by 100 feet. Within 2 to 3 years, we had the same process, the same thing happened. A lot of those fish got to grow into the bigger lake, and
so we started timely floods in 2015. Now tell what we got.
2015, 16, 17, 18, timely floods, huge successful spawns. Add 4 years to any one of those years. 2015 to 4 years. 2019, we are about approaching a lake that is full of 4 to 5 pound bass. They're just about there.
On the verge.
So,
and even in 2014, there's a little bit of that because in 2014, right after
we did
TCDC,
get a little.
It flooded right after. So
just a little.
We didn't get a complete decimation of the fry like we normally were the last few years, but not as good as 15,
Correct.
16, 17, 18.
And then those are again selective. It's right from the gene pool itself. So those fish understand how to live more. They weren't born in the hatchery and delivered here. They're born from mama. Mama and the babe, daddy guarded them, so your success rate is huge. And what I'm getting at is what I'm betting on. That out next year and go down 6, 7, 8 feet. 1 year won't hurt us. It'll start to gobble things up. If we come right back, that's okay. I'm not going to say that one bad season will wipe it out. We go into drought again, and it can change it. We stay full pool, and I'll bet you my home, I'll bet you my truck, my boat, and everything I have that the next 5 years will get better and better and better. And this cycle, these generations, each year is a generation of bass. So by the time we get to 2020, 2021, 2022, the lake's going to be full of 5 to 7 pounders with several cycles of bass coming through it.
Well,
so exciting.
Even if at this point,
it's already there.
If the lake goes into drought, we still have 4 or 5 generations of huge populations of mature bass.
Very good point.
That aren't going anywhere.
Very good point.
So even if the lake goes down for a couple of years, during that period, while those fish are still surviving and thriving,
thank you.
We'll whack them.
We're still gonna
whack them.
We got them in the lake, and the science, the Texas Parks, well, they studied the lake this summer, and they said it's the fullest of young juvenile fish that we've ever seen it.
Ever. That's incredible.
Everything.
Yeah,
juvenile.
The bait fish spawns have been just, and we haven't gotten, like, other than last year, we haven't gotten so cold that we had major kills on shad or anything like that. Most of the winters, like this winter, the water temps have actually been really mild throughout. It's basically been 50-something degree water since October, the end of October. We never have gotten really into the cold part of the 40s. We're probably fixing to just for a little while.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it needs to get down in the 42 range to start having shad die-offs.
39.
So we've had no major shad die-offs other than last year we had a little bit. And it only stayed that cold for a few days. So there's been no big accumulation of bait dying off. So you add that to the fact that when the shad spawn, their fry have cover.
Everything's
happening.
I talked about bass, but in regulation, the biologists will tell you the carp have done the same thing. The cat, everything is blown up. Everything has had more success.
If you don't believe it, turn your electronics on. If you've got your electronics out and just idle anywhere in this lake, you cannot find a place where there's not life on your graph.
Nope.
You can't.
Pretty hard.
The entire lake's full of some type of life.
So, that being said, I'm finished with that little deal, and now I will, with a smug face, say, healthy or not.
Get ready.
My
That's
guess.
what he's saying. Get ready.
My guess is, I guarantee you, it's healthier than it's just been in a long, long
It's
time.
so much more effective when nature does it, like you said. And here's the deal: a 10-pound bass will have approximately 50,000 babies. Well, the most they really ever stock in here is about 600,000, 650, 600.
490s, I think, even 500, half a million.
Back in the day, I've seen a 600 and something.
God.
So let's say it was 700,000. Well,
4% of that is...
That's only 14 10-pounders.
Right.
There's been 3 10-pounders caught here this week with bad fishing conditions. Like, we have probably hundreds, if not thousands, of 10-pounders in this lake. And so when you start adding all that up, now you start thinking about every one of them dropping 50,000 babies compared to a stocking of 700,000.
Right. And a stocking, you know, I'm going to be silly. I'm Big McFarland. It's an orphan. It wasn't born in the lake. It didn't. Yeah, it's got the gene pool, and they live, and I'm not going to put it in a class. But it's just not the same as what they call selective. That fish that was selective harvest, it did it all on its own.
You know what them stockings are? You know what they are? They are really good for sand bass.
Yeah, what I wish they would do is if they'd grow, it's expensive, so they just can't afford to. But if they'd grow them fish to the 2-pound range before they dump them in, it'd even be better. It'd be unreal. They grow 'em.
Better for the cormorants.
Well, I was just going to say, the eagles and the things, some birds, push them to the 4-pound range, and you talk about share lunker program, but that's going to be a pricey share lunker program.
Florida strain.
Yeah.
Bass, right?
Any bass, yeah. And now
But
they're
you know what?
doing
This
a hybrid now. It's a Florida hybrid. It doesn't have to be full Florida strain anymore.
F1, yeah, one-time cross, yeah. So these days in this lake, I would say the odds of you catching a fish that is a majority percentage northern strain is probably pretty low. Any more questions? Concerns? Comments?
What's your website?
The app is Fish Lyfe,
Fish Life.
spelled with a Y, L-Y-F-E. And why do we spell it with a Y? Because it's the best fish app
Why?
ever created.
Because we love you.
Yes, sir. Easy.
Waters and all that, and you got, they're opening the gates and everything. How's the gates being open affecting the fish that you guys are seeing?
They just
Okay, so
they just closed a few days ago, and we started to catch a few fish.
yeah, well, and here's, so just so everybody knows, it is not the current. It's not like a magic button when the gates open, they don't bite. Like, that's not what it is. It's the fact that Lake Fork has no river. So Lake Fork is very, very, very stable. Maybe the biggest, most stable piece of water anywhere, because it's the biggest lake in Texas with no river feeding it. I know that.
Only man-made reservoir in the entire nation not fed by a major river or tributary.
So there you go. So there's very little fluctuation on average out here. So when that water level goes shoom, shoom, man, it freaks them out. They're just not used to it. It repositions them. It kind of shuts them down. And that happens on every lake when they have abnormal fluctuation. But 6 inches is abnormal fluctuation out here to these fish. So it's kind of like them hot water fish. If you go to a power plant lake on the day where they turn the pumps off,
don't do that.
even in the summer.
Don't do that. I did that.
Even in the summer when
Ouch.
it's scalding hot and you think, man, they turn the pumps off, it's going to get cooler, them fish are going to bite. No, them fish are used to having that pump every day, and when they turn it off, shut down. Same thing out here. These fish never ever see fluctuating water, and when it fluctuates and it rises, then they open them gates and it drops, it messes them up. And so it's a fluctuating water level is what causes the issues. Yeah, that definitely affects them. You know, you can still catch fish when it's like that. They're going to reposition. They're going to go to more of your drop-offs, your drains. Your main lake fish are going to get deeper into the creek bed or deeper off the side of the point. They're not going to be on top. It's going to change them a little bit. I think people have more of a hard time because they're used to going to, let's say you're fishing main lake points in May. And you're used to going out there and fishing the top of that main lake point where that shell bed's the thickest, and you got that hard bottom, and that's where you catch them every time. And then they open the gates, and them fish suck down off the side of it, throwing it at the top of the shell bed, where you always catch them every time you come. Then they don't bite, and you go, man, they ain't biting when them gates are open. No, they're over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they reposition a little bit. So it throws people for a loop. It's like I always say, these fish aren't smart. We just don't understand the world they live in because we don't live underwater.
Yep.
And they do whatever it takes, and they'll eat every day, conditions given, but it does create some differences.
I would like to come back as a largemouth bass as long as somebody caught me when I reached share lunker program and I got put on the wall forever and ever and ever. Amen.
So you don't want to be
That's one of the-
released or back or ate, huh?
Dude, you've said a lot of weird stuff in the time I've known you. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard.
I told you I'm off the beaten path, man.
Yeah.
My dog passing away was probably one of the most heaviest things I've gone through in 11 years anyways, and but it was also one of the best things. It was time, and I told you, you're gonna see me change a little. You see me enlighten myself, like travel around, I can get around. You may already see some of that.
So we're going from crazy Mike to super crazy Mike?
We're going off the wall. We're going to go off the wall.
All out.
Another question on your app, you say you on that phone app, you put waypoints on it, has it got the GPS coordinates on them? Or?
It doesn't label the coordinates. What it has is so it has like a map pin, a marker.
It's easier than that, yeah.
And it's also got a location device where your boat will be a blue dot.
Your
So
phone
if you're
become your
driving,
map.
So you just open your map, and as you're easing up to that spot on your trolling motor or idling or whatever, you're right next to it or right on it. That blue dot is your boat location. That red dot is the waypoint.
And
I just
then
thought
when
of
you get there,
something.
You can put it on your...
Well, no, you're not supposed to do that. You're just supposed to use the app.
I just thought of something. We probably are going to end up having some accessory company's going to do really well on a little boat phone holder.
Those exist.
I know
yeah.
they do. I know.
Man, I used to. I didn't always fish out big fancy boats, and I started here like anybody else. And I mean, the first boat I came to Lake Fork in. Well, first boat I came in was with somebody else in their Ranger, but the first boat that I brought up here myself and climbed into Lake Fork on my own in was an 8-foot plastic pelican pond hopper. So I fished in all kinds of boats out here, but one of the boats my buddy Zach had, OZW, if y'all seen him on the channel, he's crazy as March Hare, but he had an old aluminum boat that he had a little graph on, but the mapping, it was old, like the mapping wasn't anything. So he actually just downloaded the Navionics web app, and he had a mount, and he would clip that thing, and we'd be running down the lake 40 miles an hour, and he's got his phone sticking up like this. I'm like, well, yep, we used to run off the Navionics web app on his phone, mounted on the dash of his boat.
Saving money.
That's it. Hey man, when you pour, like, you got to make decisions. Do I want Lowrance Electronics, or do I want to drink some Crown the rest of the year? And with ZW, the Crown always wins.
Comes first with ZW.
Always wins.
Speaking of boats, guys, my boat is still for sale. Anybody is interested, anybody out there in the internet world is interested, private message me, because I'm getting desperate now, and the more desperate I get, the better deal you get.
And it's been babied. It's in such good shape.
It is in such, it's crushing me. It's breaking my heart because I'm the one that had to pay for it. But the boat has to go away. So if you're interested and you want to steal, this is the time. I ain't got much more.
Yeah. It's a great deal, and like I said, the boat's just in such good shape.
Speaking of Gagnon Graph, do you have any of last year's chips?
No. I mean, so that's the way. Like those, like most of the stuff, like especially this year with all the different weather and stuff. Like a lot of the stuff that was on the January, February Gagnon Graph chip, it's not on the app because you don't want to go fish that right now. Like it's not.
That was
good.
the whole concept of that.
It's always current. It always
fresh.
updates. It always current. So that was the whole concept of that, was trying to keep it fresh for you guys, try to keep the best information possible, because if you go fish the spots we fished last January, well, bud, you're going to have a heart. Like, there ain't nothing there, you know? Like, a lot of the grass got blown out by these floods in the fall and winter, and
that's the uniqueness about this whole thing, whether it had been the chip last year or the app now, is that it is fresh, current. If it was the old waypoints, I got 1,600. I can send you all kinds of places to fish, but whether they're hot today or hot yesterday or going to be hot for you tomorrow, that makes a difference.
All the waypoints on Lake Fork, y'all caught fish on them in the last month.
Yeah, or like, there may be stuff that I put on there, so sometimes there's stuff that I put on there where maybe I haven't caught them on there like in the last couple of weeks, but it's something where, okay, I found some healthy grass, it's got a good elevation drop in the ditch, like, I know this is going to happen. Just using my time on the water, I know this is going to happen.
Little replication, what's called pattern and expand.
So like when we get to March and we know fish are going to start spawning in March, well, there's going to be pockets that I'm fishing in pre-spawn that may not be on the app in February. But as I'm going around fishing all different areas every day like I do, because I fish 6 days a week, I'll find these pockets that have cleaner water, that have grass. I know there's going to be more fish spawning in there than there is in the dirty water pocket with no grass. So on March 1, I'll put those good spots on there, and that's where the fish are coming to in March. Now, if we get halfway through March and something happens and that water gets dirty and something else changes and we got more fish over here, then that waypoint goes away and this one gets added. So it's constantly changing. With the map chip, we were able to do it in 2-month segments where we make a map chip, and it was basically my best forecast for the next 2 months. This is what should be the best spots on the lake. Well, now it's not a forecast. It's what's happening right now. And that's how it is on every lake. You know, like I've got a partner that's about to give us a combo package for Lake Levant and Ray Hubbard. He's a great tournament fisherman, does a lot of success in tournaments. And those are his home waters, and he knows them like nobody else. And I was like, we talked a week, 10 days ago about doing the package. And he said, yeah. Well, a few days went by, I didn't hear nothing from him. So I texted him, hey man, when's the package? He goes, man, well, I've got tournaments over here on the other side of Fort Worth, and I'm kind of just staying over here while I got these tournaments. But I'll be back on Levant this weekend, and I'll fish Levant and Hubbard for a few days, and then I'll have your package. I didn't want to give you the package until I verified everything that's going on right now. That's what we're talking about. That kind of level of detail, that kind of level of effort and work that goes into this to make sure that when you buy that app and you look at those spots, that's the best spot today.
And if it ain't driven from Billy, myself, or Ron Kelly, then we're bringing somebody else in that is just as equal to going to give you. We don't bring them in if they don't do what we do. So
I've missed a lot of Little League baseball games, and I've put a lot of time and effort and work in to build what we've got right now, my guide business, and
a lot.
The off the water part of our guide business.
More than even necessary, above and beyond.
There's no way that I'm going to let somebody come on here that's not going to care as much as I do and contribute to the thing that I've worked so hard to build.
And what that guy just said, even.
That's why he's the perfect part. Yes, sir.
Billy, do you think you'll go far south as Rayburn and Toledo?
Rayburn and Toledo are tough for the app, and I'm going to tell you why. Service. and this is just another way where I want to make sure we're putting out the best product. I'm very hesitant to do a Rayburn and Toledo package. I have people down there that I know very well. I grew up down there, you know, in Houston, and I fished those lakes. I'm nervous to put out the Rayburn package because I'm worried about people downloading the app, paying for it, then going to Rayburn, and they can't access any of their information. Now, you'll be able to access it and download it from the house and look at it, but while you're on the lake seeing your boat locate, like the app won't function the same if you have no signal. And maybe Rayburn we might be able to get away with, but Toledo for sure, there's no way you're getting the app to work live while you're on Toledo Bend. It's not happening. I don't care who your provider is.
They say the blue dot is actually where the waypoint is?
No, the blue dot is your location.
Okay. Is your iPhone, iPad, so if it's on your boat with you, it's your boat location. So you can put the GPS coordinates in the house. Put it on
You could, yes, you still could utilize it if we actually do the homework. And that's what he's saying is we don't know that there's value in us putting the homework if everybody can't utilize that. I want to do Rayburn. I know it exceptionally well. I've got a friend that lives on it. Basically, he's there every day, and I can go down there and keep pretty fresh. But the deal is how fresh is that for you? And guys may not be good with having to just put it down at home.
If you got your app downloaded, you can see the base map of it, but you can't see where you are in relation to that waypoint. So as far as the functionality of the app, that's an issue. So that's just something we got to kick around and think about what we want to do. See, you know, we'll test it. We'll do some, because we have a whole test thing where we can look at stuff before we release it. And so we'll look at that, and we may take a trip down there and kind of build a package and go out and use it ourselves and see how good we can use it, how effective it can be. And if it's something that, you know, lives up to the pretty high standards that I set for it, then we will release it. But that one is a challenge because of the lack of service down there.
Okay, so one more question. I bought it because I have an Android, so I've got the app right here.
Okay.
A friend of mine, actually my supervisor at work, he has nothing but Apple products. iPad, iPhone. I have Apple. I use iPhone, but I'm fortunate enough to have Android that I hardly ever use. So I put the Fish Life app on.
Dude's got a tablet just for my app. That's awesome right there.
Hey, I didn't buy my tablet for your app, buddy.
Where do I need to show him? Because he wanted to buy
Okay.
the app last week.
www.fishlife.net is a web application, a web version of the app. It functions the same. It looks just like yours. It's just through the browser, not through the app store.
Okay.
The deal with Apple is Apple had an issue with our payment processing, and they wanted to take 30% of the money off the top. And every little, like we have to get every single package that we put out, they have to approve, and it takes 5 to 14 days just to get a phone call returned. Like Apple is a pain to deal with. So the iTunes version, we are still going to do that. It just may not be ready for a while. So we went ahead and built a web app from scratch, and we got that one ready real quick, and it's ready to go. We've had we've just launched it a couple days ago, and we have had like some sign-in server issues in the first 24, 48 hours, but we're all working that out. It's like any kind of tech, there'll be kinks in there, but we've set up as of today a support email that you can email, and you can always get a hold of us through yourlakeforkguide.com. You can always email me there. The phone number's on there. You can get a hold of us in that way, and we'll do everything we can to fix any problems as fast as possible. It'll be, the first couple weeks, there'll be little stuff. It's a tech thing. There's going to be little stuff we have to work out, but I've got a full-time tech guy that does all my app development and does all that functionality stuff. He's actually a friend of both of ours, and so we have somebody helping us on staff that I'm paying, that he takes care of all the support stuff. And
He's one of my BFFs.
Like when we had a server issue, the other day where it wasn't letting anybody sign in all of a sudden because of some security setting the server had. It was fixed in a few hours. I mean, we're going to do it as fast as possible. Yeah, he can get it there. Everybody, any device can get the web app.
He wanted it last weekend, but he couldn't get it.
He's got to punch in www. Yeah, it's so new you can't even search it yet, and it show up. So you have to punch in www.fishlife.net.
That won't take long, about maybe less than a week, and it'll already
it'll start getting the
itself.
searches. But right now it's just a couple days old. It's brand new.
Now, is this a monthly deal? That you can pay just a month, or you got to?
Yeah, it automatically.
A year, or?
No, you don't have to pay up front for a year. It's as you go. So when you sign up for it, it'll charge you for whichever. Some of the packages will be priced different. The Lake Fork package is $20 a month. That's 20 spots on there that we're always updating and changing and keeping fresh. And when you sign up for Lake Fork, it'll charge you $20. 30 days from now, it'll charge you $20 again. Now, if you only need it for,
Automatically charge you, or?
yeah, automatic, when you sign up, it's a subscription-based deal. So it automatically hits you again for $20 in 30
Unless
days.
you stop it.
You're
unless you
paying for
stop it.
30 days of access with that $20. Now, at any time, you can go in there and unsubscribe. Anytime you want to. So if you're coming down for a subscribe to the app, let it run for that week, use it while you're here. When you get ready to leave, go in there, unsubscribe. You'll never get charged again.
But it was at 30 days, like say I bought this one on say 5th of January. Does it run till February 5th?
That's correct. You have 30 days of access, you'll get charged again on February 4th because January is 31 days. You'll get charged every 30 days.
There will be a lot more on it down the road. 6 months, a year from now, I can honestly.
2 weeks from now, there'll be about 5 more lakes on there. So.
I can 6 months, a year from now, I can see lakes from the West Coast.
Yeah.
I can see this being all over. We just talked at dinner about just some other ideas and projects throughout the year here for tournaments, some specialty things. So there'll be a lot of flavor that as this thing really grows and takes off. And it truly is really the first